Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Mindset Minute. So, we are streaming here to Facebook and YouTube. And as you come on, I might not be able to see you. So, if you're here, please say hello. For those of you I don't know, my name is Patricia Cimino. I'm a certified coach. And last April, I started this series, Empowered Mindset Minute, where every week I come on live and share strategies to thrive, especially during this crazy year that we've had. And this is the first time that I am hosting a guest on this platform. Today, I want to introduce you all to a dear friend and colleague of mine, Master Certified Coach Erin Aquin. Erin is a relationship coach, and you may have heard a couple months ago, she had interviewed me on her unbelievably awesome podcast called Revitalize Your Relationship. And we had a fun conversation, and now the wheels have turned. And I wanted to bring Erin on and have her share her journey and talk about drop some nice little nuggets with you all for some strategies to thrive in your relationships. So welcome, Erin. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be with you.
Awesome. And I know this is super early for you because you are on Pacific time. So I appreciate you getting up.
No, I'm on Eastern. I just messed that up yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Okay. So Erin, I love your story, and I want you to share how your journey of embarking on becoming a master certified coach, how that happened, because you were a yoga instructor and an acupuncturist. So I know we had a lot in common talking about our yoga love of yoga, but please share just your journey of what brought you to where you're at right now.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, I actually had a health crisis. I had been teaching yoga full time. I was an acupuncturist. I was basically like running the show as entrepreneurs do in my life, and completely burned out. I had this like strange chronic pain and swelling all over my body. One doctor told me that I would probably end up in a wheelchair within 9 months.
Oh my God.
If I didn't do some, it was really scary, a very emotional time. And I realized that the way I was doing life was not anywhere near the advice I was actually giving people. Because, yoga teachers and acupuncturists were always talking about self-care and self-investment. And I was like teaching till 9:30 at night, getting up to teach at 6 a.m. the next day, eating like sporadically. It was just not a great scene.
Totally out of alignment, right?
Totally. I think this happens sometimes with coaches too, like because we understand the information intellectually, sometimes we forget we also have to practice it. We have to practice what we know.
Yeah,
You're nodding along.
Every day.
So I had that big kind of wake up call. And this was in my, early 30s. It was not like a time where most people would experience something like that. But I knew at that point I had to make a shift. And I took 9 months off. It's actually when I wrote my first book for yoga teachers. And I started getting more into this whole coaching thing, which I was very skeptical about at first.
Why? Can I jump in?
Yeah, please. Yeah. I just thought,
I think that's something that a lot of people, as coaching becomes more mainstream, I think that's something that, people are kind of like, what is this life coaching thing?
Oh yeah. When people tell me that, I'm like, I was a big skeptic. I was like, do you need someone to like tell you what to do and like how to do life? Shouldn't you know how to do that because you're a grown up? I didn't realize that it was actually more about the work, that we do, which is helping people shift to a mindset that informs a more intentional and conscious life. And you can do that through picking a goal and working towards that. I used a coach to write my second book. And I completed that second book when my daughter was in her first year. So my goal was to have a brand new book and a 1-year-old.
Wow.
So within 4 months, I was able to finish my second book. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Wow.
Having that, yeah, it was a huge eye opener.
Okay, did you guys hear that? She wrote us her second book along with having her first child at the same time of were you working at the time as well?
No, I was
Okay, that's
teaching a
enough
little bit of
right there.
yoga. Yeah, I was teaching a bit of yoga, but I was technically like on entrepreneurial unpaid maternity leave.
Right. But that shows the power of what coaching can do for you. Like it accelerated your time. If you didn't have that help, if you weren't working with someone, a coach at that time, how long do I realistically think that book would have taken?
Oh, I had been working on that book for 2 years, but working on it for 2 years before, which is code for, if I felt like it, I would write.
Right. Yeah. So good. So then what happened?
So after that first experience with a coach, I, started looking into it more, and I thought, I love teaching yoga. I never thought I would stop teaching yoga. I was like, this is the best job in the world. People are so happy to see you. It's amazing. And it is. But I always felt like people were coming with so much that I couldn't really address in a public yoga class. And I couldn't really address like in 1 hour with someone with needles on the table.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many more tools I knew were out there that I had experienced through with my coach that I wanted to start to share. So that is when I went to I had my second child, and then a couple months later went to the life coach school to do my first level of training. And soon after that, it became clear that I was definitely going to coach full time.
And so how did you decide that it was going to be on relationships and working with people on their relationships? Because there's so, you guys, as we just said, as coaching becomes more mainstream, there's coaches for so many different things, right? So, the niche that Erin is in, that's what I'm questioning. How did you narrow it down to wanting to help people with relationships?
It was actually like a huge kind of transformation from what happened when I got married. Because even though I had hired a coach to write a book, I noticed that as I was using some of the tools and the more I studied the coaching concepts, the main thing that changed in my life was my marriage.
Wow.
My husband's amazing. He is definitely was definitely the sane one. If it were a competition, he doesn't fight. He doesn't really engage in conflicts. He doesn't hold resentment, but I did. I had never had a successful relationship. We didn't get married until I was 33 or 34. It was terrifying. I stirred up a lot of drama, let's just say, with my lovely husband. But as I started to learn that my thoughts were not coming from the world outside of me, and my feelings were not dependent on someone else's mood, that very simple understanding changed the way I showed up in my relationship. And I noticed that there wasn't that much drama. And the surprising thing is it wasn't that hard. So I just decided that I want to help people with relationships, because if I can have a successful, amazing marriage, anyone can. Like, it's not that hard if you have some basic tools and you start to cultivate a deeper relationship with yourself so that you're not looking outside of you for your needs.
Bingo, right there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what is the biggest reason or the biggest challenge or problem that people come to you for?
At the end of the day, I think, go ahead.
It just triggered another thought, but go ahead and answer that.
I think it's resentment.
Ooh, wow. Yeah. Resentment's bad. I know. I've experienced it. I know. Yeah. Resentment. Now, why would someone come to you as a coach versus going to like a marriage counselor or a therapist?
I think there's like amazing things that marriage counselors and therapists do, especially like in the realm of if there's been trauma, if there's been a huge moment in your life, which I don't really deal with. Someone might come to me if they've tried marriage counseling where they did it as a couple and found that the things that were said in the counseling session became subject matter for arguments later.
Mm.
So the nice thing about having a coach is we are kind of choosing a goal within the relationship and working towards that. It may be like not having a temper tantrum 3 times a week, not wasting 2 evenings a month arguing and not talking for 3 days. And the way that we do that is more focusing on who you as an individual are becoming rather than what happened 5 years ago, which is really important to go through if there has been trauma or there's been a lot of stuff from the past. But I actually found it so liberating for me as the client to be more focused on the future I'm creating rather than rehashing the past, which I think coaches do really, really well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But there's this thing that I think is so easy to like blame the person next to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It really is. And what you do with them is help them to turn the spotlight back on themselves and where they need to
Totally.
change.
Yeah, that's tricky territory too, because I think a lot of people know, they'll say, I'll hear this from people all the time, like, I know my happiness is my job. I know it's not my partner's job. But then they sort of use turning the spotlight on themselves as like a laser beam of pain and suffering, where sometimes I think people take too much responsibility for what the other person does. I think it's helpful to make the distinction with my clients. Yes, your feelings come from your thoughts. You have total jurisdiction of that realm, but your partner's mood, your partner's words, your partner's behaviors are not under your control and are not your fault. And I think that can be really empowering just to separate that out, because you could be doing all the work in the world and your partner might not be interested. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. That's so good, Erin. What is the common thing when they walk away from working with you that they feel, or what is the biggest thing that you see shift in them?
Total self-contained relationship with themselves, which maybe doesn't sound very sexy, but I have a little thing I use. We talk about being a relationship CEO, which stands for curious, empowered, and open.
Oh, I love that.
It's so good.
That's good. I love it. Yes.
So when you can actually do that, it's possible to create incredible relationships with other people because you're not guarded, you're not protective in a way that would cut you off and disconnect you from intimacy. You're inviting your partner to be who they are by showing up as who you are. And that is like the most nourishing thing you can ever do. It's true. Sometimes I have clients who go through a program with me that they end up ending the relationship. But even then, they do it from such a liberated place rather than saying, it's because the other person's a jerk and they'll never change. And I've wasted all my good years with this person. Like, no, you don't have to necessarily experience that. If you are showing up as curious, empowered, and open, it's possible to have incredible relationships, not only with that other person, but with everyone in your life, including yourself.
How liberating. That is so awesome. I love it. Okay, so I always share 3 strategies to thrive with my audience every week. It's on whatever topic that I'm talking about. So what would be your 3 golden nuggets to create, that happy, healthy relationship that you can share with our audience here?
Well, I mean, maybe we could talk about them through the lens of CEO, actually. So being curious in your relationship means that you are showing up, wondering about the other person, wondering about who they are, and not being so committed to what I call the 3D or the 2D cardboard cutout that you have assumed them to be. Because when we know someone for a long time, it's easy to relate to them just like a 2-dimensional character. So I think the first thing you can do is stop talking to the cardboard cutout. Turn your attention to the human in front of you who's growing and changing at all times.
Yes. So good. So good. And
Empowered. Showing up as an empowered partner means learning a lot of different skills, but the one that I think is the easiest to play with here is making clean requests. So instead, when you want something, you want your partner's collaboration on something, don't go in with like a manipulative tactic. Don't go in with a long speech of why they should want to help you. Just start practicing making direct, clean requests, saying, honey, this is the thing I want to do. And what I'm asking for from you is this. Do you want to participate or not? Like
that sounds so easy. And a lot of times we do all this other going around. That's just so direct, right?
Awesome. I teach that in the book,
yes,
like very specifically.
Yes. And the third thing?
Being open. And this one I think is the most challenging. I'll be honest. It's different from curiosity because when you're open, it means you're receptive. It means you're willing to hear what your partner's thinking and feeling and willing to get feedback sometimes. To be open means that maybe the little thing you can do is just ask your partner, like, honey, how are you feeling about this thing that happened? How are you feeling about the way that, like, if you sense that there's something weird going on, asking them and inviting them to tell you without shame or fear or resentment or judgment or any of that, just like actually listening to the beautiful human who's complex and changing at all times in front of you.
That's so good. That's so good. So just to recap, the 3 different nuggets to help you become the CEO of your relationships is curiosity, empowered, and open. I love it. Erin's latest book is Revitalize Your Relationship. And let me tell you, I've been married 30 years. This book has great golden nuggets in it. I bought it through Amazon. You want to share where else they can find it? Amazon's everywhere,
right?
Though. I mean,
Amazon's everywhere. It will be out in a few other places at some point. We're doing some fun things with it, but right now, Amazon, whatever local site you got.
I'll tell you what you can see. I have a lot of green highlighted in here. What I love about it is Erin's ability to, like, the way she writes is just very easy to understand. The tools are easy to understand. She puts it in layman's terms. She's not talking like coach talk. She's talking like a human. So
that means a lot. Easy. Thank you.
And even like I said, I've been married a long time and I'm grabbing great golden nuggets from this. So I love this book. Erin, I want you to share with the audience where they can find you, both online and offline, any upcoming events that you have, your podcast, all of it. Share all the goodies here. And then we're also going to drop her links in the thread below.
The best place to find me is at revitalizeyourrelationship.com. That is my online home. That's where you can find the podcast, all of the programs that we're up to. The most exciting thing is we just opened the doors to our small group relationship CEO program for January. Yes, so we're going to be 3 months, small group, totally focused on your relationship. The book is going to be the foundation for that. So I'm actually going to be sending everyone who joins the program a copy of the book.
Oh, great.
I'm going to hold your hand through the whole thing and coach you all along the way.
What can they expect to walk out of that with, like, after finishing that?
They will be a relationship CEO. They will, of course, the goal is to have a more successful relationship with your partner, to actually, if intimacy is what you want to increase, we'll focus on that. If you want to have better communication or better division of your household chores, we'll focus on that. So it's going to be slightly different per person, but at the end of the day, showing up in your relationship and in your home like it's the best place, and not tension, like the tension that a lot of us have felt, I think, through this particular year in our own homes. I am on a mission to, like, eliminate that. Your home, your relationship should be beautiful and deep and nourishing. I'm about wild, beautiful love. We're gonna get that for you.
That's awesome. I love it. That's so great. Okay, we're going to put that information in the thread down below. Erin, it's been so much fun having this opportunity to switch the tables here and get to interview you, share you with my audience. If you're jumping on in replay, please hit hashtag replay. Let us know that you were here and enjoyed this podcast. Share it if you really found some great, especially her nuggets that she shares are so great. And then again, share the name of your podcast, because she has an amazing weekly podcast, you guys. Really good.
Making this very easy on you. It's revitalize your relationship.
So good. So good. Okay, everyone. Thank you all. Until next week, make it a great one. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, however you are celebrating, and we will see you again next time. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Erin, for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.